Hi guys, I am officially online and ready for you all. I want to say a big thank you for everyone that has been able to make it to join this live tutorial. And I want to start by introducing myself so you know a little bit about me. So just before I move on, I want you to know that there is a little delay because I'm doing this live video from Zoom. So there's a little lapse. So just bear with me. If you ask a question in the chat, I will take a peek at it and I will answer your question, okay? So I'm going to start by first of all introducing myself. While I do that, if you have any questions, you can just comment below and I will go ahead and answer as I read the comments. So first of all, I'm a Christian and I'm also a pastor of Kodesh Family Church, North America. And my bishop is Bishop Doug Heward Mills. If you don't know about him, you should check him out. I have his books right there. He is a great man of God. And besides that, I am also an architect by profession. I've been in architecture for almost 15 years since I finished school. I'm also a mother and also a wife. And I'm pretty sure you are wondering, where is the skill of Photoshop come in? Well, as architects, we do use Photoshop to touch up our plans and drawings for our presentations. So I learned a little bit of that whilst I was in school and used it. But honestly, about 8 months ago, everything you see me teaching on YouTube, I learned just in the past 8 months. So that should go to tell you that no matter who you are, if you don't have any experience in Photoshop or graphic design, you don't have to worry because this is why I'm here. I'm here for you. I'm here to teach you, and I'm here to guide you. I am basically your virtual coach. Yes. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to me on Instagram. You know, I started doing Photoshop. I started doing these flyers 2 years ago for my church, and I had no clue what I was doing. So basically what I did was that I pick up what other people have done and I basically mimic it. And gradually I develop my own style and my own niche. I'm still learning from others. I still have mentors that I follow. So if you're new to Photoshop, don't feel that you cannot do this. You can. You just need practice and you need to follow somebody whose work you admire and just keep mimicking till you perfect your skill. Okay, so I'm going to look at the screen to see if anybody has any questions and we are going to answer. And then I'm going to do a few tutorials that I feel a lot of people ask questions about. And then if you feel that you want a one-on-one with me, you can reach out to me on Instagram and we can schedule that for a little fee. Okay, so if you see me looking away, it means I'm looking at my screen to see what is being asked. Yay, I'm presenting Kodesh. Yes, I am. Thank you, G, for joining. Wow, I see all of you. It's amazing. Thank you. I see my family members. I see the support system. It's a great blessing to have you all here. I'm going to scroll to see if I have any specific questions that I need to answer. So yes, 8 months. Yeah. So don't feel that you can't do this. You can. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and then I'm going to go to my screen on Photoshop. And I want to give you guys some basic information that everybody normally asks about ask me all the time. So I want to go ahead and show you a few tips that you can use while you create your Photoshop and whatnots. So before we jump into a real tutorial, I want to show you guys these free products that you guys can use and benefit from. So the first place, I want to first of all share my screen with y'all so you can see it. So I'm going to go to that in a second. Okay. Just bear with me. This is my first time. Yes, you can learn. You'll be amazed. And this is Bethel. Yeah, I see your comments down below. Yes, if you're new to Photoshop, you can actually learn in the span. I can even give you a tutorial for about 6 weeks and get you started. And then I can sort of guide you to people that have helped me in terms of people that do flyers that I've followed, and you can do the same thing, just mimic. You know, one thing that I've learned from my prophet is that copying is not a bad thing. Copying is only bad when you are in the classroom. That's when nobody wants to do that, yes. But besides that, anybody can learn by copying. Now, the Chinese, I mean, the Europeans have learned from others, and that's how they have searched for it. So this is a good way to learn from others so that you can also become good, okay? So I'm going to share my screen so we can see the free products that I want to show you. Okay, so if you want to learn, okay, so if you start using Photoshop and you're looking for free images to use in your practice or in your flyers, sometimes you want a certain type of background, you want a certain type of image to add to your design. If you're looking for something like that, there are 2 free websites that you can go to. There are more, but these are the 2 that I normally use. And the first one is unsplash.com. And when you come to unsplash.com, and let's say you want to type in, let's say baby, you want a baby picture, or let's say a baby girl. If you type it in, you see all of these free images that are available to you. You don't have to pay anything. So even if I click on this image is free to download. So you just right click, you just have to right click on the image, you can download it onto your computer and you can just use it for whatever purposes that you want to use it for. And the other software, the other website that also offer free images, as you can see, this is called Pixabay, and they also have free images that you can use to your advantage. If you want a certain background, if I type in sky, you see that you have options that you can use. This very image I've already used in one of my tutorials, and that is one way. That was a flyer I did some time back. So you can see that besides Google, you can also go to these 2 websites and you can use them for your copying is good. Yes, copying is good. That's one way that's one of the good ways you can search for it. So this is a website where you can get free images and you go to free download, you just download it and then you can use it. The next thing that I want to show you guys is a question that a lot of people ask me, and they say, what software do I use? And as you can see, this is the Adobe Photoshop website, and they offer different softwares. And the first one you see is the Lightroom and Photoshop. This is a bundle. Now, if you look to the far right, you see that there's another Photoshop that is being offered, but that one is $20. Why do you want to buy that when you can get the $9.99, which is a bundle? And with this bundle, you get Lightroom, and Lightroom is what you use to edit your photos. So if you're somebody who likes to take pictures, you can use Lightroom to edit your photos. But even if you don't want that, $9.99 is a very affordable price. So I would recommend that anybody that wants to learn Photoshop, this is the best bundle to choose, or the option to choose when you go on Adobe Photoshop. Just for your info, they didn't pay me. I'm just doing this for free so that my students who want to learn can buy this. And just so you know, they do have a 7-day trial version. So if you're not sure if you want to purchase yet, you can still download the free 7-day trial, and you can begin to play with the software. Let me see. Hi, wow, you're from Senegal. Thanks for joining. Osumani, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, but we're glad to have you here. Join us. So if you have any questions, you can put them in the comments, and I will answer them as I look at them. And please forgive me if I'm not looking directly in the camera. This is my first time, so I'm trying to read the comments and also look at myself on the side. So with this said, I want to go back to Photoshop, and I want to show you guys a few tricks that you can have under your belt right now. And I know that some of you have already been following me, so you know the things, or you know what to do, but there are still some instances where you're not so sure and you want help and you want direction. So I want to show you guys something small, and we are going to, okay, so I'm going to show you how to take the background of this image. And this is a very simple thing to do, but sometimes people find it very difficult. And I just want to go ahead to show you how to do this. Oh, I'm sorry. So before we move ahead, one last thing that I want to show you. A lot of people also ask me, if you want to just look up some other free stuff, you can also go back to on YouTube, on Google. Oops, I'm sorry, guys. So on Google, let's say you want an image that doesn't have a background. So let me show you how you do that. So let's say I want a YouTube thumbnail. I want the YouTube logo, but without the background. So what you do is you type in YouTube icon, and then you want to add PNG. What PNG means that any image you get will not have a background. So if I click on any of these images, it won't have a background. But typically what I do is I go to images, and then you can see all the images that are available to you. Now, if you look at the first one, it has a white background. That's what it looks like. But when you click on it, you realize that it has a checker. And then on the right, on the label, it will tell you it's PNG. Now, PNG files, when you save them and you open them in Photoshop, it comes without a background. So you can use that. But then I can also show you how you can bring in your image and also take off the background. So let's head to Photoshop, and I'm going to show you how to do that, okay? So I'm going to go back, close that, and okay, so let's say that we want to, I'm gonna close this, and I'm going to act as though I'm new to Photoshop, and I want to cut out a subject. So we are scrolling down to pick a subject that we want. Okay, so I'm just going to choose, let's say, I'm going to choose this girl. Okay, and I'm going to right click, I'm going to save, and I'm just going to save this in my downloads. And I'm going to close this. And I'm going to go to my file. I'm going to go to downloads, and I see the file right there. I'm going to right click. Okay, if you want to bring in a picture, you can either click on the image and drag it into Photoshop, or you can right click and then go to open with, and then you can click on Photoshop, and it's going to open for you in Photoshop. You can see my screen, and then I'll go ahead and then I will start all over. Okay, so you can see me now, and I just shared my screen. So tell me, give me a thumbs up, or just say you can see my screen, and then I'll go ahead and show you this tutorial. Thank you guys, you're really helping me. Okay, so I think that I'm back on the screen. So tell me if you can see me, because I can see it on YouTube. Oh, and I have to check my phone too, so in case, okay. All right. Okay, thank you, G. Oh, by the way, G is my mentor. If you don't know who she is, you should check out her YouTube channel. If you're somebody who is looking to build up your business, you don't know what to do, where to start, she is the go-to person. Her name is G Nontra. Go G Nontra, she's one of my mentors. So go check out her YouTube channel. You will not regret it. And please follow her, okay? All right, so we are going to move on. Oh, I love you guys too. Okay, so now you can see my screen. So what I'm going to do, I'm gonna go back so that I'm gonna show you guys from beginning in case you missed anything. So I'm gonna press Control D. Okay, so I'm just going to go out of this. Okay, so we're gonna start from scratch. So once you have your image open in Photoshop, you wanna go to your quick select tool, since we want to take off the background. So you want to click on your quick select tool, and then at the top bar where it says select subject, you want to click on select subject. And once you click on select subject, you realize that Photoshop will cut out the subject for you. Now, Photoshop is getting more advanced over the time. About 2 or 3 years ago, once you hit select subject, you have to clean it up yourself, and it takes a lot of time. But Photoshop keeps advancing, so the software is getting much easier to use. So with your subject selected, you realize that almost everything has been selected for us, but you can see that we have something outside our subject which has also been selected. It's very minor, so I'm going to show you how to take that off. You want to click on your subtract from selection, and you want to make sure that your eraser head, if it's too big, you want to reduce the size of that, and then you want to come back into Photoshop, and then you can click right there to take that off. Now, let's say that I'm going to just make something up. Let's say that this area was selected when Photoshop did the cutout for you. So what you want to do is you want to go back to your quick select, subtract from selection, and you want to click in the area that you want to take out. So you can see that as I click and drag, it takes away from that area, and you see that it completely gets rid of that. So now you see that only the subject has been selected for me. Now, if you look at her pacifier, you see that the pacifier has not been selected. So to do that, you first of all want to zoom in. Now, the easiest way to zoom in, you want to click on the magnifying glass, and then you want to go to your plus magnifying glass, and you want to click like that to zoom in. So now we can see that the pacifier is not selected. So we want to click on, you want to go back to your quick select tool. You want to click on, this time, the plus, which is the add to select. Okay, and you want to gradually select around the pacifier. Now notice that once we do that, the bottom portion is not selected. Now that is very hard to do. So instead of using the add to select, I'm going to show you another thing that you can do. So you want to go ahead and click on your lasso tool, and you want to make sure that you choose the second option that has been selected for you, and that is to add to your selection. Okay, so if I hover over that, you see that it's basically patching two things, and it says add to selection. So we want to gradually draw a line around that area that we want to add, and you want to close it off. And once you close it up, you realize that that selection has been added to it. So if you want to zoom out, you want to click your magnifying glass, you want to click on fit to screen. Now, everything has been cut out for us. And I'm sure you're wondering, so what next? Okay, so the next thing you want to do is to take off the background. The easiest way to do that is to go down to your layers panel, which is right here, and you see a little icon, which is a rectangle with a little dot inside. So you want to click on that, and that is your layer max icon. Your layer max will take off the background for you. Voila. So your background disappears, and you basically have your subject with nothing. So how do you add a background? It's easy. All you need to do is go down to your layers panel, and where it says, you see a little box with a plus, that is to add a new layer. So we want to click on that and create a new layer. You want to hold down that layer, and you want to bring it below the subject layer. And once you are done, you want to go to the left-hand side where your toolbar is, and you see that you have your color option. So you have your foreground color, which is red, and the background color, which is white. But typically when you open Photoshop, you see that you have a default, which is black and white. Okay, I see everybody's following. That's good. If you have any questions, you can stop me anytime by just putting that in the comments below. So let's say that when you open Photoshop, you had a black and white, but you don't want a black background. How do I change the color? It's very easy. So you want to double click on the color, and you see that a color picker pops up for you. Now you want to change the color. You can go for a red, and if you don't want a red, you want a different color, all you need to do is go up here. You can choose any color of your choice by clicking on the left and right slider, and it will move it to whatever you want. She's a girl, so why not go for something pinkish? So we're gonna choose a pink, a little bit more muted. Yeah. And we are going to go ahead and click OK. And then with your paint bucket, you want to make sure that your background has been selected for you in your layers panel. And with your bucket selected, you want to click inside your canvas, and voila, you have a new background. So let's say that you decide that you don't want the background anymore, and you want to take off the background. All you need to do is that you want to right click on your layer max, and then all you want to do is say disable layer max. Once you disable your layer max, you have your background back again. So I'm going to go ahead and enable our background. So the question is, what if I want a gradient effect for my background and not just a solid pink color? Well, you can do that too. So all you want to do, the easiest way to do this, well, there are multiple options, but I want to show you the easiest way. So with your layer selected, we're going to go back to the background layer. Oh, and by the way, you always want to label your layers. That's one thing about Photoshop. Photoshop is all about layering. So for you not to get confused and not know what is being turned on and off, you want to label your layers. So if to label it, you just double click and you can choose, you can rename it background. And that is how you name your layers. So let's say I want a gradient. You want to go to your adjustment levels. Now, I've done tutorials on how to use the adjustment level. So if you want an in-depth tutorial, you can check out my 5-series Photoshop tutorial for beginners on my YouTube channel. So to do that, your video seem vivid. If you can see me, just let me know. If there's any problem, I'll go ahead and fix it, okay? All right, so I'm gonna click on the adjustment and you want to go ahead and then you wanna choose gradient. Once you choose gradient, you realize that a window pops up for you. And the reason why it's on a default pink is because your foreground color is pink. But if you wanna change the color, we can do that. But the first thing you notice is that with a gradient option, you have the gradient from solid to transparent. Now, if you want a two-tone and you don't want a transparent option, you can go down here and then you can choose from the basic option. If you choose this option, you basically have a black and white, but you can still change the color. So let's say that we want a black and white, but at the same time, we want a two-tone, but we don't want the black and white. You can double click on the gradient color and a new window pops up for you. That's it right here. I'm gonna close these. Okay. And I'm gonna set myself right here. Okay, so a new window opens up for you. And to change the color, you click on your stop once and you double click on your color. And we can choose, let's say, a purple, we can choose, let's say, a purple, or you can choose a blue and you can click OK. And if you want to change the other color, you can double click on that as well. We can make that maybe black, or we can make that into a red, or let's say like a yellow, something like this. So you have two-tone. Let's say you want a three-tone. All you need to do is hold down your stop and you want to split your stop. And so you hold down your stop and you want to split it. So you see that you have your stop option and I have multiple that I've already created. I'm going to pull all of them out just like that. So let's say that you want to create almost like a rainbow effect on the background. You can click on this color and you can change that as well. You can click on this color, change it to something else. I don't know, something like that. You can change this to something like that. So you click OK, you realize that you almost have a rainbow effect behind your subject. So, I mean, this is extreme. And that is if you're trying to play with it and do something fun for a kid, you can do something like that. But if you don't want all of this color, you can double click on your gradient And we can just delete by clicking on your stop and pulling it down to get rid of that. And you realize that you basically go back to your two-tone. And let's say you want a default gradient. You don't want to create it yourself. You can go down here. You have different options and you can choose any option of your choice and click OK. And you have a nice gradient background. So I'm going to look at my question. Okay, there's no question. So I guess you understand what I'm teaching, which is good. So I want to show you how to bring in a different background to replace what we have currently. So to do that, you want to go to your, okay, I want to see. So I'm going to go out of this and I want to go to my, oops. All right, so I'm going to go back to online and we're going to go back to the website that we were on Unsplash. We're going to go for another image. So you want to click on Unsplash. Oops. So we're going to, okay, I don't know why this is saying that. I'm going to close that. And I'm going to choose from one of my old backgrounds so we can use it, okay? So let's say that you have saved. Okay, let me refresh. All right. Okay, you can't see it anymore. I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to go ahead and reshare. Okay, so we are back. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and show you how to bring in a different background. I'm going to go to one of my old images so we can just go ahead and use that. So in the meantime, let me stop sharing so I can pull up that image for you. And once I pull it, we will go back into Photoshop and I'm going to show you how that is done. So just bear with me. Oh, this is so fun. I'm gonna just go ahead and pull my image and then we are going to begin. So I'm just looking for my file, then we'll go ahead. All right, so we're back. So let's say that you want to have a totally different background. All you want to do is that you want to go look for your folder. So once you have your folder open, let's say we want to bring in this very image right here. So we're going to right click and we're going to say open in Photoshop. So once we're going to click OK. So let's say that we have this image and we want to bring this image into our working file. So you want to click on this, you want to drag it and you want to drop it right here. So all you need to do now is position it. So to do that, you want to make sure you click on your image. When you click on your image, sometimes it will show it activated. In some cases, it does not. So in case yours is not showing, all you have to do is press Control T on your keyboard and it will activate the transform command for you. Now, if you have the newest version, if you click on the move tool, you see that at the very top of your screen, on the toolbar, you see that it says auto select. You want to click on auto select, and you also want to check show transform control. Once you do that, anytime you click on any image, you realize that it picks up on the transform tool and it allows you to manipulate or to scale your image. So to scale it, we are going to hold one end of our image and you just want to drag it. So I can pull this down like that, or I can even stretch it. So if you want to do that, all you have to do is just stretch it like this and it will fill up the space for you. I'm going to pull it down so you can see. So this is a very easy way to bring in another image to replace your background. So far I have shown you guys actually four different things. So I've shown you how to bring in a subject, how to take off the background, how to add a solid background or a gradient, and also how to bring in an image to replace your background. So if you have any questions, you can put it in the comments below. We have about 10 minutes. I want to keep this live tutorial to 1 hour because I'm just doing a test to see what you guys would want to learn. So I'm going to do another one in a month, and I'm going to do a poll and see what you all would like to learn. So in case you have something specific that you want me to teach you, you can just send me an email or send me a message on Instagram, and I'm going to respond, or even on the community page, you can respond to any of my posts right there, and we will take care of that for you. So with the few minutes that are left, I want to show you how to add a text to this subject. So let's say we want to say, I'm happy. Yeah, or she's just thinking. So let's just put girl, let's just go ahead and type something on our subject. So to add a text, all you need to do is click on the text icon. And when you click on the text icon, when you click on the text tool, it gives you multiple options. If you want to just type horizontal, which is the normal way to type, you can click on that. But if you want to also type something vertical, that option is also made available, and you can see the other options too. So let's say that you want to type a vertical text, but layer max, you want to hide the text, you can also use that option. So there are multiple options available, but I want to show you the basic. So you want to click on the top one, which is the horizontal text, and we want to change our foreground to white. But notice that the foreground right now is pink. If I want to keep my pink, but I want to show my white, all you need to do is flip between the arrow that you see. Just click it once and it's going to flip your color options for you. So now anything that I paint or type will show in white. If I want to show everything in pink, all I need to do is click again, and then that color will show on top. So any color you see on top is what will show whenever you either paint or you type. So I'm going to change it back to white, and I'm going to click inside my canvas. Now, your working space is called canvas. So just take note of that. So Once I click within my canvas, you see that the text, a default text has been put in place for me. I can just go ahead and type and it will replace it for me. But what if you want to make your text a little bit bigger? You want to go to the top of your screen and where it says T. Oh, Prince, you haven't missed a whole lot. Don't worry. I'll be doing this once a month. So you will have more to learn. And besides, I'm going to make this tutorial, this live tutorial available so you can watch it, you know, in your own spare time. So we're going to go ahead and if you want to change the size of your font, you want to click on your text size and you want to, let's say, change it to 48. You see it's bigger. We can even take it higher to 72. Now, what if you want it bigger than 72? You have actually 3 options. You can either highlight and you can change it. Let's say we want to make it 100 and we're going to click enter. It's going to change it for you. Or you can also go under your property right here and you can also change your font style by just sliding around the T and it will change the size for you. The third option is that you can click on your move tool and it will help you to rescale your text and you can reposition it like this. But I'm sure you want to change whatever this text is. So to change the text, you want to click back on your text tool and you want to highlight your text just like that, just like you do in Word or anything like that. And you can go ahead and type in baby. No, we want to type in girl. We can say a 6. No, we're just going to type in girl, just like that. And let's say that we want to move this to another place. We can click on this and we can move it. Let's say here or here, anywhere you want to move it. If you want it bigger, you can click on it like that, one end, and you can make it bigger and set it right here. And set it right there, something like that. Okay, so let's say that you want to change the color of this. It's very easy to do. You want to click back on your text tool. You want to highlight. And you want to click on your foreground. The color picker will show up. And let's say that you want to choose the color in her jacket. You see that a color picker has been, a color picker eye drop is activated for you. So you can click and notice that it's picking up on the exact color in her jacket. And you can use that. I can click on that and come out of this, and that is the color that you see. So let's say that we want the color that we see in the background. We can do the same thing. You can click on the color picker and then you can choose the color that you see in the background and click OK. Come out of it, you see it. Okay, so now we want to go back to a different color. So let's say we want to choose something totally different. Let's say a blue. So we're going to click on that and we're going to click OK, come out of it. And there you have it. You have a blue. Now the question is, what if I want a background? What if I want a shadow effect on my text? Very easy to do. You want to go to your layers panel, find that particular layer and it says girl. You want to double click on the right hand side. A new window will open up for you and that is called the layers style. Now the layer style allows you to add different effects to whatever, either it's an image or a text or a background that you want to manipulate. You can use the layer style to do so much more. So let's say we want to add a shadow. You see that on the style option, you see a drop down. So once you click on the drop down, and I'm going to move my window down so you can see, you realize that there is a little shadow that has been created. But what if we want it to be more? You can double click on your shadow and you can increase the size, and you see it becomes bigger. Now, let's say we want to change it to white. You want to double click on the blend mode color, double click, and you want to change the color. So you want to click anywhere within your color picker, and we can change the color like that. But it's so fuzzy. I don't want something like this. I want my shadow to be sharp. So to do that, you want to decrease the spread. You want to decrease the size, and we want to take up the distance. And let's say we want to decrease the size a little bit more. We want to decrease the spread, something like this. Let's say we want this type of shadow. And we can also change the angle. So depending on the angle you change, you realize that it gives you a different effect on your shadow. So you can just play with that. And you can also take down the opacity. Let's say you don't want the shadow effect to be too strong. You can take down the opacity as well. And I'm just going to change this. So you see that when I change the contour, you get a different effect that shows up on your text. You know, this is something I just discovered myself. I hardly use the contour. I normally leave it on default. But you can see that you can do so much with the contour. I actually like how it looks, you know. So let's say we want to take the opacity up so we can see the effect. So basically you have a transparent text behind. We can increase it to show it something like that. You can play with it. You can increase the spread, you know, and you can even increase the size. You can do so much with it. So I'm going to take this back to the default, and we're going to reduce the opacity and do something like that. And I'm going to go ahead and click OK. But let me see. Can you change the shadow color? Oh, I was about to say that. Thank you for that, Prince. So if you want to change the color of the shadow, I know I changed it from black to white. You can still go ahead and change it again. You can choose whatever color you want, you know, so you can just flip through and have any color of your choice. So I've done something like this. It's just, you know, so much that you can do. Let's say that we want to add a bevel. So you see that you can click on your bevel and you can add a bevel effect to your text. You can even add a stroke effect. So when you add the stroke effect, that's basically having an outline around your text. So let's say I don't want the stroke effect to be black. I want it to be white. So you want to double click on that. You want to change the color. Let's pick a white. So you see that you have a totally different stroke effect. Let's say we want the stroke effect thinner. We can do that. I'm going to take off the bevel so you can see the stroke effect very well. So we can increase it if we want something like this, or we can decrease it if we want just a very thin stroke effect. You can also change the pixel to maybe 2 or to 3. So you get a very subtle stroke effect, but not too much. And we can click OK and come out of this. So you have something like this. But let's say, you know, I'm going to go back and I'm going to change the shadow to white so it's a bit more clear. I'm going to click OK and OK. So you have something like this. So you've created almost like a 3D effect. Oh, and talking about 3D, I also have a tutorial on how to create a 3D effect. So if you want a very long shadow on your text, I have 2 different tutorials that addresses that as well. So let me see. Hi, Mary. It's good to have you. Oh, hi, Linda. Oh, I'm so happy y'all are all here. It's so exciting to see you all. So it's past 10, guys. I was supposed to end at 10. So if you have any question, you can go ahead and ask me before we bring this tutorial to a close. I want to end in about 10 minutes. So 10:15 is when I want to bring this to a close. So if you have any questions for me, you can ask and we will talk about it. So in the meantime, I want to go ahead. Well, this one, I don't need to show you because I've already done a background on this already. So, okay. So I want to show you another trick that you can do. So let's say that we want to brighten up our subject. So to do that, you want to click on your subject layer and you want to make sure that looking at your layers panel, you see that you have 2 options. Either you click on the image itself or you click on the layer max thumbnail. You don't want to click on the layer max thumbnail. You want to click on the actual image. And you want to go to image, adjustment. You want to click on brightness. Okay, Prince, you have a question. Go ahead. You can ask your question. So once the window pops up, you can now begin to move your slider and notice that the image begins to brighten up. If we want to take down the contrast, we can reduce the contrast. Now the contrast picks up the blacks, in the image. So you want to either increase it or decrease it a little. And you see that the subject is a little bit more brighter. If it's too much, you can take it down. You want to click OK. Oops, I'm going to move it up. Okay. So the next thing is, what if you want to change the color of the background? I know it's sort of orangey, goldish. But let's say we want to change the color. It's very easy. So you want to make, first of all, a duplicate. I always like to make duplicates of whatever I'm working with, especially backgrounds, just in case I want to go back and use the same file. So you want to click on your image. You want to drag it to your plus icon and it will create a duplicate for you. You want to click on this image and you want to hide the bottom background. Now we want to click and make sure that you have your copy selected. And then you want to go to images, image, adjustment, and you want to go ahead and choose hue saturation. Now I'm going to move my slider, I'm going to move my window down so you can see. And you notice that we have a slider for the hue, that is for the color, the saturation, that is how intense you want the color, and also the lightness. Now, the lightness will basically either take out the color or make it a little bit more darker. So that I'm going to leave at where it was. So let's say we want to change the color of the background. So you don't want to touch the saturation because it will just make it intense. You want to click on the hue. Now, hue is another word for color. So you want to move the slider and notice, y'all see this? See that you can change the color to whatever you want. And it's basically that easy to do. I'm sorry. I keep saying easy because I've been doing this for a while. Forgive me. But you can see that it's not that hard to do. So you can change any color of your choice. So I'm just going to leave it on the purple. And let's say we want to decrease or increase the saturation. Ooh. And the lightness, we want to take it up. I'm going to do something like this, and I'm going to click OK. So you see that you can easily change any background color. So amazing, Mary. So I'm going to go ahead. Let me see what comments I have. And we are going to go ahead and then answer these questions as best as we can. When trying, so I'm going to answer Prince's question. So when trying a design, how do we know the right color text to choose for a design so that it can, so that it can basically work with the background and the whole design? That's a very good question. Now, when you are designing, you want to make sure that if you pick, let's say, a busy background, you want your text to be white. So in this case, with the subject, uh, this is just a tutorial. So I picked this sort of bluish color for the text girl. But if I am designing, let's say, a flyer with this type of background, my font or my text color will be white. Now I'm going to choose white because the white will pop against the busy background. So it's the same thing if you are like the tutorial I put out there yesterday. I had basically a white background to begin with. So you'll notice that the text itself had color. So it was almost like a red and a black color combined. And that pops against the white. So anytime you're designing a flyer, always do the inverse for either your text or your background. If you have a busy background, you want to go with a lighter color for your font so it pops. Preferably, if you can, go with the white. If you have a busy background, it will pop very well. If you have, let's say, a not so busy background, that you will have to play with the color to see what works. But you always want to have some contrast, in your flyer. And like I've said in previous tutorials, when you're designing a flyer, it's like you're telling a story, and you want people to be able to look at your flyer at a glance and be able to get the message you're trying to convey. So I want to pull up one of my tutorials, and I want to show you why I always sort of, layer or line things up. It's very important to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and show you an example of that. So I'm going to pull my flyer. So just bear with me, and I'm going to go back and pull my, let me see. I'm going to see if I can just pull my images. Okay, so I'm just gonna, I'm sorry, I'm taking you guys through my stuff, but it's okay. Alrighty, we are almost here. So I wanna go ahead and, okay, let me pull this down first. I'm sorry, guys. I want to stop sharing for a second, and I'm going to go to the correct folder. And then I'm going to show you this last thing before we end. So I'm almost there, guys. I'm just gonna pull. So I'm just gonna go ahead and pull in this image in Photoshop, and I'm just gonna show you guys what I mean. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen so you can see this last one. All right, so you can all see this flyer that I've already done. So as you can see, the background is orange. So you want to make sure that in this case, we don't have a very busy background, but you notice that I still didn't want my main text, which is your theme. You want your theme to stand out. And so you want to make sure that your theme, you want to make sure, thank you, Mary, thank you for the support. You want to make sure that your theme shows are big. So in this case, the moment you look at this flyer, you notice that it says faith encounter service. So the main theme is bold, and you can easily read what I'm trying to convey. And then as you can see, I have nicely, I'm saying nicely or neatly arranged all the other information, in an organized way. And, whatever you're doing is like you're telling a story. So you don't want your information to be all over the place on your flyer. So you want to have an organized structure that you basically work off. So you have your theme, and then you notice that the meeting ID and the date and the time are a little bit smaller, but also very visible so you can see it. And the other thing I want to say is that some people have flyers that have a lot of information on there. When it's so busy, you get confused, you don't know what you're looking at. So my advice to you, and it's just my advice, is that keep your flyers to a minimal. Make sure that you convey what the theme of the event is, and then you make sure you tell them where the event is being held, the date, the time. You can even go ahead and add a contact information and also your Facebook information on the bottom so they can look you up on Facebook to connect. But you want to make sure that the extra information like your Instagram, your Facebook information, those you keep very minimal and small so they don't power or overshadow the main information you're trying to convey. Thank you. So that is how I sort of create my flyers. I always have that in mind. And the other thing too is that you also want to make sure that when you are choosing your color scheme, you choose color schemes that work. There are some colors that can be too loud to the eye and people will not want to look at your flyer. So you want to make sure that even if you're using an orange, you notice that this orange is a muted orange, it's pleasing to the eye. It's not so strong. So always bear that in mind when you're choosing your colors. And the other thing that I have noticed with time is that when you post your flyers to your Instagram or your social media, you have to take a note of how people gravitate towards those flyers, how people respond. As you put out flyers, you should begin to see a trend. The ones that people respond the most to, pay attention to those colors. You realize that those colors are pleasing to the eye. So you want to work with those color schemes or those, let's say, color family, in that color family. And as you build on your flyers, you realize that there are some colors that work and there are some other colors that don't work. So just, bear that in mind. And with time, you will begin to realize what works and what doesn't work. And the other thing is, if you are designing flyers and you're using a black background, you have to be a little careful, because when you do all black background, it makes the flyer a little too, I'll say, too sad. You want to get people excited about what you have to tell them or what you have to offer. So you need to add a splash of color somewhere to make it exciting, so people would want to click on that image to be able to get the information you have for them. Okay, so I think that we have had a great session. Thank you all. Hey, Taja, thank you for stopping by. Noel, thank you all for joining this community of learners. And we are going to have another session next month. So I'm going to put out a flyer out there. So guys, if there is a specific thing that you want me to address, let me know. I can spend an entire 30 minutes to take you guys through. If you want me to do a mini tutorial on a flyer from beginning to end, I can go ahead. If you want me to show you how to create different font techniques, we can go ahead and do that as well. Oh, thank you guys. This is so cool. This is really nice. Thank you for the support. So if you don't have any further questions, we are going to bring this live tutorial to a close. Okay, so I hope you're, having fun with all of these tutorials I'm putting out there. Oh, and just so you know, I know that everybody loves to see a lot of the flyers that I'm doing, but occasionally I will also be putting out other just unique Photoshop techniques that other people who are not so into the Photoshop flyers would also want to see, so that they can also be taken care of. I'm an amazing teacher. Mwah! Thank you, Mary. All right, so thank you, thank you. So I'm going to bring this to a close, and we will have another session next month, okay? So you can tell your friends, tell anybody that wants to learn Photoshop about this channel. They can subscribe to it so that they will not miss out. Can you upload different fonts that you are using? Yes, I can. So before I go, since you asked that question, I want to show you how you can get all of these free fonts. I want to send you something I created from what I have learned from you. Yes, Noel, you can do that. So if you want to send me something, you can look me up on Instagram. I also have a link in all of my videos for my Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. So you can send me a message on Instagram. I can look at it. I can give you, my comments, so you can maybe revise it. And, and if you just want advice on what to do, I can also help you. Okay, so I'm looking forward to your creation, Noel. All right, so before we go, I want to show you how you can get free fonts that you can use if your computer did not come with that, okay? So if you want to get some free font, you want to go online to Google, and let's say we want to type in, let's say we want B-Bus, or let's say we want to type in B-Bus font, and I'm going to add the word free. And let me see. I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to reshare so you can see my screen. So let's say you are on Google and you want to look up free font. So basically you want to click, you want to type in free font, and we're going to click search. And you notice that the first thing that comes up is that you have 1001 free fonts. It's all for you to use. So to download, you just click on this and it will give you all the different fonts. If I scroll down, you see that it offers so many different fonts that you can download. You don't have to pay for these. So you can click through and see whichever one you want. You can even narrow it down to a particular search. Let's say we want all the brushes font. So we click on brushes and it gives us all the options on brushes. So you can just click on one. I'm going to demonstrate. So you can click on one like this, download, and it will ask you, do you want to download? We say yes. It downloads into my download. And then you want to click on download. You go into your download folder, and then you notice that a folder has been created for you. So you want to double click on that folder of that particular font. You realize that you have two icons in that folder. So you want to click on the file that says TTF. Now the TTF is the font that you want to install. So you want to double click on that. And once you double click, a window opens up. Now, I am using a MacBook. So the way the information opens up on my screen will be different from how it opens up if you're using a Windows. But regardless, it will open up a window and all you need to do is click on install font, and you realize that that font has been installed. And once it's installed, if you go on Photoshop, you will be able to use that font right away. So guys, that is how you can add any font. So even if you watch my tutorial and I mention a font, but you don't see a link to that font in my description below, if you go online and you search it up, you should be able to see it, okay? All right, so let me see. Okay, so you are going to use Instagram to send me the information, which is very good. So I will look out for that message, Noel. Okay, so I think that this is great, and I think everybody is set now. All right, so if you missed the beginning, I showed everyone how to get the free images to use. So if you don't know where to go, just go to unsplash.com or Pixabay, and you can download free images to use for your flyers or your tutorials or your practice, okay? Awesome, thanks. Thank you, Taja. Okay, so without I was going to say without further ado, but actually we are done with this tutorials, with this session. So I'm just going to bring this to a close. I see that every question has been answered. Yes, yes. So we are going to bring this to a close, and we will have another session, same time in a month. Okay, so everyone have a blessed Saturday and Sunday and the rest of the week. Please take care of yourselves. And please, if you are going out, use your face mask so you are safe. Okay, so till next time, bye y'all. Oh, by the way, if you speak French, let me know in the comments below, or Spanish. I always like to start my intros with bonjour and hola, but I don't know if I have some French folks or Spanish folks on the line. But if you are, you can comment below as well. And no, I don't speak French. I just know a little bit because I took that in school. So that's all I do know. Okay. So God bless you all. Bye.